Phil, how much has your confidence grown in Michael Pittman the last couple of weeks, and what have you seen with him just as he's gotten healthier on the field?
Yeah, well, he's just continuing to improve. I mean, a young receiver, super talented, eager to learn receiver that, didn't get, I know it's going way back, but didn't get the off-season OTAs and all those things that you usually get. Had a really good training camp, really was starting to, I thought, hit his stride, and then, had the unfortunate injury. And then it's just, since he's been back up and on the practice field and in these games each week has really improved. So, the biggest thing that stood out to me the other night was his explosiveness. He was super explosive, both, out of the break as far as getting across the field on those shallows. And then really when he got the ball in his hand, how strong he was as a runner, both on a couple of the catches and then certainly the reverse as well.
Mike Chappell.
Philip, over half the season, so it's not a small sample size. What is the issue been like 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, the short yardage? It's kind of been hit and miss whether you're throwing more running than throwing. Can you point to anything?
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy really when you look at it. We've been better off, the 7 to 10 third downs. We've been really good percentage-wise and not so much short yardage, which certainly isn't something we're okay with. But, we've had a bunch of them, so that means we're doing a pretty good job first, second down if you have that many third and shorts. We just got to do a better job of executing in those situations, whether it be run or pass. I don't think it's one thing in particular. We just need to do a better job. You look at the other night, a couple of those could have really cost us. So we just got to, hone in. It's just, you're trying to get a yard, and sometimes again, it's what we've hit a few of the pass, we've missed a few. And then, we just got to, clean it up every little bit. Everything matters, as we say, and find a way to make sure we get those conversions.
Ross, go ahead.
Hey, Philip, going back to Thursday night, I think you mentioned it directly that, this is a great win, but if we don't follow it up with, a couple of good performances after this win really doesn't mean anything. And then everybody that followed you said exactly the same thing. What does it say about this team that, 10 minutes after a game when all you guys are doing interviews that you're already, moving on to the next one and knowing that it's a big win, but there's more to come?
Yeah, I think it's a grounded locker room, a mature locker room when it comes to perspective on the big picture. And I think it's credit to the locker room and the players, but also a credit to Coach Reich and the staff of just how the message has been instilled and what we really believe. It's just the culture we believe is continuing to find a way to improve every day and go 1-0 week to week, and not get caught up in the whole riding that wave. So I mean, shoot, don't get me wrong. I think there's a balance there, and coach is great with it. The players are great with it. We enjoyed the heck out of that win. We were all excited. It was a big win. But at the same time, we know you got to just keep pushing, because I refer to it as y'all have heard me say, it's a week to week league. We know it's what have you done? What are you doing this Sunday? And so as excited as we are to have put ourselves in position here after 9 games, we know that our best football needs to be ahead of us starting this week.
Joel Erickson.
You had a pretty good game against Green Bay last year. When you have a good game against a coordinator, does that help you the next year in terms of preparing, or does it carry over at all?
I don't know. I don't think it does. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about momentum from week to week. I don't know that that's real. Certainly you can improve and build upon things, but, a game last year with a different team, I don't know that there's any, necessarily, momentum from that. This D coordinator has been in the league a long time. Have faced his defenses a handful of times with different teams he's been a part of. So it's always a heck of a challenge, both with his scheme and then obviously the players first and foremost that this defense has. They present a lot of challenges. So it'll be a heck of a task. I mean, they're the top team in the NFC right now, and so we'll have to have a great week of preparation and be at our best on Sunday.
Jim Milo.
Hey, Philip. I had a chance to talk to your guy, Eric Weddle, not long ago, and he kind of told me that not having crowd noise, you might be able to hear a little bit more defensive calls, especially on TV tape. And I asked if that would be an advantage. He said yes. Frank kind of mentioned that maybe an advantage for a guy with your kind of experience. I know you don't want to give away, trade secrets, but what kind of stuff can you glean from that and use to your advantage?
Well, I think more than anything, it's just it's easier for us to communicate. It's easy for us to communicate. There are no real home field advantages from a noise standpoint. So there you are in Tennessee, for instance. There we've been in Chicago or Detroit, in that dome, which can get going, and there's no communication issues for us. I think that's more than anything because, most of my time is spent communicating to our guys, and so both sides have to communicate. But I think more than anything, it's just, sometimes if you're going on the road, you're going, gosh, I'd like to check to this, but gosh, I don't know if we're going to be able to get that done. I'm going to have to say it 3 times over here, 3 times over here, and then we're on a silent count. And I just think we're going to have to just let it roll, whereas now we can get things communicated a little quicker. So I don't know if it's so much helpful from diagnosing the defense as it is as much as just our ability to communicate. It's a lot easier to communicate.
The other thing Frank just mentioned to us was that in general, you guys don't like that those tapes go around because they can hear everything you guys are checking to and calling. I just wondered if you felt the same way.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you really going back many years. We do a great job of it here as well, but is, seeing what has been heard, what can you hear on the TV copy, what that I've said, that we've said. And so, you can't let it paralyze you to be paranoid to think, golly, they're going to know everything we're saying. But at the same time, mixing up some of those things that you've said that are said, and use them in a different way. So that is something we're aware of each week, to where we make sure we're on top of that, to where we're either changing them up or we're using them in a different fashion, because certainly you go against experienced defensive guys, experienced defensive staffs, they're on top of things like that. So that's something we're always aware of each week.
Taylor Tannenbaum.
I know there's some big names on this defensive line, but it seems like Grover Stewart just every single week makes big plays, and he's starting to kind of become a household name. If you scroll on Twitter during a game, you see a lot about Grover Stewart. I don't know how much you knew about him before he came here, but now that you've been here, and I know you say you stand on the sideline, you watch a little bit when the defense is out there. What stood out to you about him that maybe you didn't know before, and throughout this season and up until this point, that's made him kind of a standout player?
Yeah, he's been awesome. He's just kind of he can really wreak some havoc in there on the inside. And our run defense, our defense as a whole has been unbelievable. But the way our guys have stopped the run, and it's guys like Grover in the inside that is doing the dirty work. Our backers are running, and he's doing a heck of a job, obviously, and then still making some tackles for loss and making some big plays. So he is a big man. He's a big man in there. Got a great spirit about him too. He's been a fun guy to get to know in the locker room and on the field. Just the always big smile on his face, but certainly a tough, tenacious player when he's out there playing. So obviously hadn't been here long, but it seems to what it sounds like to me, his growth and continued improvement has been awesome, and certainly been a big part of that defense.
We'll do 3 more. Mike Wells.
Hey, Philip, when you have a receiver like T.Y. Hilton, who's been the number 1 guy for so many years, but on paper is not putting up the type of season that people are accustomed to, as a quarterback, how much does it help you not having to worry about a guy complaining about his not getting enough touches in the offense?
Yeah, T.Y. has been unbelievable. I've really enjoyed getting to know him. Obviously, love throwing him the football. And you mentioned, from a number standpoint, maybe it hasn't been exactly how we intended or saw it going thus far. I always say thus far because there's a lot of football left, but he's been awesome. He's been awesome in that room as far as leading the group. He's been awesome as far as you mentioned, just the unselfishness and how the ball's gone everywhere. And certainly as a quarterback, I want to get it to the guy that's open, and certainly a guy of T.Y.'s stature and what he's done and what he can still do. You want to get it to him as much as you can. You hate seeing an opportunity missed, which I've missed a handful this year of being able to get in the ball and have an opportunity for some chunk plays. But he's been great, and I think it goes a long way. Certainly as a quarterback, you appreciate it, but I think it goes a long way in the locker room. Just obviously the respect he has here over his whole career. But you see also too the impact he's still having in these games. These defenses know where 13's lining up. You can guarantee that. And, you know, he really got us going, I thought, in the Tennessee game. You know, almost busted out of there on the one, you know, stop route we threw him, and had a big catch that started the 2-minute drive. So there's no question he's still a factor in these games. You know, I think one's coming at some point where it's going to be the, you know, 7 or 8 for over 100. And I certainly hope so, for his sake and our sake. But I know that he's going to continue to have an impact, regardless of what the numbers say. He's going to continue to have an impact and be a big part of this thing down the home stretch.
Stacey Dales.
Philip, I have a couple, if that's okay. The first is, I think we're all going to be spoiled on Sunday with 2 future Hall of Fame quarterbacks on the field. How do you reflect on, you know, this moment, this opportunity on Sunday, and Aaron Rodgers facing him? And then number 2, just what specifically has impressed you most with your offensive line? And are you putting together some Christmas ideas at this point for those guys?
Yeah, well, first, I mean, I've always, you know, I always want to preface before I make a comment about you know, Aaron, is you're always playing as a quarterback, you're playing the defense, you know, and certainly our offense is playing their defense, and we won't share the field at the same time unless he's got a few snaps in the secondary in him. But so, you know, that's first. But I've always, you know, appreciated and thought it was special going against a quarterback like him. You know, going back through the years, from the Favres to the Mannings to, you know, I could go on and on with Drew and Roethlisberger and Eli. And I mean, I could keep going. I'm not intentionally leaving anyone out. So it is special. And certainly being in the NFC, Brady, certainly being in the NFC, you don't see those guys, but, you know, once every 4 years. And then, you know, I was able to play, you know, we played against them last year, and then now getting them back to back. So it is special. The guy's unbelievable. Obviously the career he's had, and you know, the big plays, and I could go on and on with what makes him awesome. I think the number that stands out to me is just how few of interceptions he's thrown in all these years is quite remarkable, especially with as aggressive as he is, and you know, pushing it down the field, and what a great, you know, passer he is, pure passer from deep to short. So it is special. So as far as the O-line, yeah, they've been awesome. I think it's really just maybe the expectation, what I had thought of them before getting to know them, is just continuing to hold up throughout this year, that they're just, you know, that they're tough, smart, and really good players. They just, you know, they grind it out. You never hear them complaining about anything, regardless of run, pass, whatever's going on. They just, they want to get it done. Very, very steady group. So, yeah, there'll be something at some point. I usually don't do so much Christmas. It's more kind of end of year, but yeah, those ideas I've already started to kick around a little bit.
Thanks.
And last question, George Bremer.
So sticking with the Aaron Rodgers theme, when you play a quarterback of that caliber, or, you know, any of the top guys, is there a tendency during the week to kind of have to fight against the idea of trying to match them and put up, you know, do things maybe you wouldn't do against another opponent? You have to fight that at all?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think you can't go down that road. That usually gets you in trouble. But I think you also are aware, and it's a more of just a respect level of who's over there and what they're capable of. So there's always an emphasis to protect the football. So if there's such thing as more of an emphasis, you want to have that, you know, against, you know, this quarterback and that team and their explosiveness. You don't want to continue to put our defense in tough situations. You don't want to give them an opportunity to, you know, bust the game open. You've seen some of the games they've had this year. That's happened, you know, not whether it be, you know, sometimes it was turnovers for touchdowns, but, you know, it's humming along. It's 14-14, it's 17-14, then all of a sudden it's 31-14. So, you know, we got to play against that defense and play the game we know how to play, but you're definitely aware of who's on that other sideline, and one of the best to ever play.